Yeah, he had to be open. No, but I looked at
At 1:30, so I'd like to get started with the resident forum, and then after that, we'll go right to the board meeting. Once again, just give a little outline of the rules, I guess. We ask anyone that has a question to please come up and use the microphone, so that those folks who are tuning in on YouTube will be able to hear everything that's said, both the question and the response. Other than that, there's no other rule other than, like I say, the residents can ask questions, whether items are on the agenda or not. If they have questions about anything, and we'll do the best we can to answer them. So with that, I'd like to open it up. Anyone have any questions of the board or the general manager, come on up and use the microphone.
Seat available?
Ron Warren on Pine Village.
Turn it up.
The question I want to ask is, how do we get out of the bankruptcy? These weddings are.
Can't hear him, bro. Can't hear you. Al, turn your mic on. Turn the mic on. Turn the mic up.
When are we going to get out of the
Can't hear you, sir. A little bit closer to your mouth or.
Talk loud.
Perfect.
There we go.
Can you hear me now? All right. Well, so I'd like to know, when are we going to get out of the banquet business? And because I find that the weddings are very intrusive, disruptive, and I don't know one person in here who ever said, wow, I think the weddings are terrific. But I can tell you there are a lot of people who say we shouldn't have them. I think more than you can say we need them. Now, at the last finance committee, Mr. Nelson came up with a suggestion about lowering the operating cost. And I remember back Tom Newkirk did a survey of the weddings, and he came up that we make about $3 per month per household. Now, instead of lowering the operating by $5 a month, lower it by $2 and get rid of the weddings. Thank you.
Ralph.
Yeah, to answer that question, I'm not aware of any move to get rid of the wedding. That would be up to the board decision. Some of them have to put it on the agenda to do that. Rosie?
Speak louder.
You gotta hold the microphone.
It was suggested I stand over here so I don't choke. Was that before I asked my question? Okay. I know it won't surprise you that I have a couple of questions, so I will just ask one and then push the floor. My first question is on roads. Has the assessment and evaluation of the condition of the Heritage Pines roads been completed? And can we expect that resurfacing will begin in the immediate future? And will it be on all the roads or a limited section of Grand Club? And is the funding completely available?
Yeah, there's been a preliminary report from the engineer. Dave has to sit down with him, go through it. We've seen the numbers. We've got the money to fund it. There's some issue. The engineer thinks some of the roads don't need to be done as quickly as we thought. So there has to be some discussion about whether we want to do prior to when the engineer is suggesting. That's really gets up to Dave to make a recommendation to the board. Will all the roads get done at once? No, because they don't need to be done. That's immediately. Some are in better shape than others. And so they'll be planned out over a period of time, and according to the engineer's schedule. But there will be a board workshop in October, and we'll have the engineer make a presentation to the residents.
And you would expect this would begin
to be done immediately.
Does that compare to the previous reports that were done?
We've never had a leadership report about roads. So this is the first one. And that's why I say they will have to think about it, make a recommendation to the board as to whether we do the road sooner than what the engineer is suggesting.
And he's out of the country right now when he gets back, so.
Yeah. We'll plan to have you do a presentation for the residents.
Okay, and if you don't mind, I'll just ask another question while I'm here.
What about
Why
the
might
money?
be like-
Money for the rest, you said money is
Yeah,
available.
no, we have the money. He's given us what the cost is. We've got that covered. Just a question of when.
Okay, my other question is, as the coordinator of the Council of Villages, I have not received any feedback from this board that the GM is expected to participate in the Council of Villages meeting. Since it's the only active forum for residents to interact with the GM. Now, we understood that you had a commitment at the last meeting, but we need some kind of feedback from the board, what your feelings are about the GM participating in the Council of Villages.
Yeah, I guess each board member can speak up for themselves, but just be aware, Rosie, that the board has never approved an official Council of Village association or committee. So it's, in essence, it's unofficial. What it was meant to do, it was meant to address local village issues, okay? So that, as far as the association is concerned, so that if someone wanted to know, hey, who's doing the best job in cutting the grass, who's doing the best job in insecticide, watering, all that good stuff, that was appropriate for the local villages. Those are not association issues. The association is not responsible for watering the grass, cutting the grass, insecticiding at the local homeowner level. So that's what I'm concerned. The Council of Villages really, for their situation and issues, deals with them on their local level.
Okay, but as a coordinator of the Council of Villages, from the beginning, your interpretation of what the council represents is not accurate. It was started by the board. It was started by Neil Thompson. It spun off of Reclaim Water President's Only meeting and went in right from when, I think the gentleman who started that. Right from there, it's always had the attendance and the participation by the general manager. Right. There was an open meeting before we started this. Dave, myself, Joanne Thorne, who's also been a coordinator, Randy Doolittle, Bill Gibbons, Kathy Kelly, and we would discuss this, and a commitment was made then. Now, residents think that this is a great opportunity for the general manager to interact with them and be able to come and answer their questions. Questions are submitted by them. They don't divide them by homeowners association or villages. It's not down to watering the grass. It's not down to what vendor you use. It's open, serious discussions that are some of the questions that come here. Now, I think what I'm asking you, that's your thing. Your thing. I think we need to hear from GM and other board members.
Well, I, for one, look forward to attending your meeting, Rosie, and will be at every one I can possibly be at. As you just said, couldn't make the last one because of the kitchen renovation, but I look forward to our meeting.
And
Well, I understand you were in the kitchen.
Yeah. If I may add, Rosie, the issues that represent association issues, not local village issues, are meant to be addressed at this resident forum. That's why we have this forum, with all the board members here.
Kevin, the issues are not, and decisions are not made at the council of villages. They're not made. They are made here at the board. You have that power. This is an ability and communication in the community. Are you going to stop the communication in the community?
Let me say it again. The Council of Villages is meant to meet to discuss local village issues.
No, Kevin,
If
it's
the
not.
residents have issues related to the association, they come to this resident forum and bring them up.
No, it is not restricted to only village issues. Any other board member wanting to address this issue? Okay.
to get my thoughts around this. I've been a village president for years. I've been a supporter of the council, and I see when it works well. I've seen it work well. I've seen it a forum for information related to village information, and I have seen it give information as it relates to the association as well. General managers typically have participated. Bill, last time around, was very active, and Dave Coe has been very active, and has we've communicated with him as well. And he has assured us once again today that he looks forward to answering questions and being there. And I think part of the GM, my own personal view, as a village president, as a resident, and as a board member, is that the GM should be visible to the community. And this is a forum that he can be visible. Along with the Coffee with Dave, which is something else that he does. But the village council is a monthly meeting. It is a dynamic meeting, and for those that have not been there, it shares information. It's a friendly agenda, typically, I believe. I don't think anyone ever leaves there saying, this is a waste of time. The agenda is made up anonymously. So in other words, if someone has a question, they don't have to put their name on it. That's very appealing to a lot of people. Whereas if they come to this agenda, they have to come up, give their name and their village and their social security number and their blood type. And that is very intimidating for sometimes some of these questions. So,
And use the microphone.
and they don't like standing up in front of a crowd or using the microphone. So I see multiple reasons why this board member, and as a village president, as a resident, the value of your committee. And Dave has met with us. Rick has met with, we've met, I think we've hashed this out to some length. I understand Kevin's position. I certainly do. And most of the questions are on this agenda are 90% related to village matters. But again, it's a visibility issue for our general manager, and he's glad to be there. And I hope that this helps you, who manages this meeting, that there is comprehensive understanding that Dave and myself, and I believe Griff, will stand with me on this, that of its value, its continued value, with having the general manager in attendance. And I will leave it up to any other board member to give their input, or anyone from the audience as well.
Well, I would just say a couple things for clarification. That agenda, so you all know, is reviewed by 2 board members and a GM prior to it being sent out. If there's anything on that agenda they don't like, there's an opportunity to discuss. Right? Not every item submitted goes on that agenda. Are there association situations? Yes, there's speakers that come from multiple committees and clubs that let the community know what events are. Now, they're not going to come here and go on about their bake sale. They're not. So it is an opportunity to get information out to the community on a different level. I didn't know there was a copy of the day scheduled for October 18th. I haven't seen it on the calendar. Anyone else?
I'm not going to go into a long speech, but I agree with Randy, and I would stand with Paul's position.
I have a question. Who are the board members that review this agenda before it's brought to your eyes?
They're the ones that have always reviewed it all along. Now, in the past,
I just want to know who they were.
well, also in the past, it was established that there was a brief meeting, all right, between board members and the GM prior to the agenda going out. In that case, you could have 4 or 5 board members there, including you, Ken, who never questioned what was on the agenda by being put in different categories.
I said board members right now are presidents of their villages.
No, they don't have to be present.
Are they? I'm asking all of them.
These gentlemen have participated with the council for a long time, they're knowledgeable. In the past, other board members who weren't village presidents also would do this.
Well, they answered the question, your question came at a time no longer was president of our village. However, I was for 2 years, vice president for 1 year, and president for 2 years.
Can't hear it.
With the village council when it first started, I'm still interested in it. As far as I remember, Dave has been at every one except the last one, and I made sure that he presented the answers to that by giving the questions to him and reviewing the agenda, and he promised to read to all the others.
I did respond, yeah,
Ken, can I ask you, when you get a chance, to look to see if the board has ever formally approved the council approval?
Approve it for what, Kevin?
They're saying it's official. It's only because it's official that the board approves it.
So now it's going to be, if it's official, and it's not that it's going to be a form of communication, so can I ask you something? Is
Council
coffee,
Village
is
is-
coffee with Dave official?
They need to use the microphone.
I think they can hear me.
So you'll do that, Ken? Other questions?
Can you hear me?
I attended an audit meeting recently, and they covered, they were covering utilization of the clubhouse. I had a couple of questions. I'll first summarize a couple of things. My understanding is some of their customers are charged 21% service charge, gratuity, of course. Well, it's a gratuity, it's 21%. It's not anything else. My question is this. The gazebo is rented, chairs and linen are rented, and the clubhouse is rented for X number of dollars. For the 5 weddings between May and now, they received about $5,000, a little over $5,000 for those rentals. Then there was a service charge on those rentals, which equates to approximately $1,004 that was received by food and beverage. Who actually gets that $1,004? Now, what is the actual breakdown? Does it go to the waitresses? All of it? Okay.
It is a service charge on a gratuity, 2.5% go to F&B managers, and the rest of it is spread out amongst those who are serving the event, including bartenders, and that's how it's broken out. So 16% goes to wait staff, depending on who's there, and the other 2.5% each goes to food and beverage manager or assistant manager.
Right.
Yeah, you want to go?
Because my background is management, and I was on call at the hospital 24 hours a day. I was salaried. I never got a gratuity or a percentage for anything I brought in extra. I'm wanting to know why, if food and beverage managers are, I suspect, considered management, and why isn't their job to, as it stands right now, is to promote our facility to promote weddings, promote outside events, promote inside events. This is part of their principal job description. So I'm wondering why they're being part of that 21%, or they get 2.5% of the 21%, if this is part of their job description.
That situation was done before my arrival as part of a contract that they had writing, so I can't tell you what the rationale was prior to my arrival, but it is part of a contract that both of them have. And I believe it's for the extra work that they do, putting it together, decorating, whatever else goes along with putting a wedding or event together. Somebody else may have a background that I don't on it.
Jerry Dennis, one follow-up question, or maybe two ago. Now that $1,000 service charge for the rental of things that the association I own a gazebo, or at least a portion. I own the room, at least a portion. The chairs. That's in addition to the 21% for the bar bill and the 21% for the food bill. So you're talking 1,000 plus many other thousands that are received as gratuity. My question is why would you divide, even if we're even authorized or allowed to charge a service charge for those items? And that's, no matter any way you look at it, that's a tip. It's nothing else but a tip. But how can that things that I own be given to food and beverage management and the health? They didn't pay for it.
As I said, it's a service charge. I don't quite know how to answer that question. It's paying for the use of the areas that you just talked about. Beyond that, I don't know what else to say to you.
Ms. Lawrence, I was a board member when the clubhouse utilization policy was drafted up and approved by the board. There were certain conditions levied on management. One of those conditions was that the F&B managers would not be compensated for booking events. Last year, I asked the board, have you ever followed up with management to see that they are compliant with the conditions that were specified in the policy? The response I got was that the GM will review the policy to see if he's compliant with the overall policy that we gave him. From my observation, that hasn't happened.
I don't have the policy with me, and had I known, I would have been happy to bring it, but it does clearly say that a service charge can be charged for in the clubhouse utilization policy.
Not the board's version. The board's version is different than what F&B management came up with. There are distinct omissions from the F&B policy and procedures that aren't being met or complied with what the board specified. I've been through this discussion with you before, Dave. I think we've gone around with this. But see, and I have concern, because I was a board member. If I develop policy, I think one of my primary responsibilities is to ensure that that policy is really complied with.
Here's the way it reads. No commissions or compensation may be paid to management on staff that would be for booking outside events. Service charges may be collected and paid to management, staff, F&B to provide services. What it says.
I know what it says.
Well, that's what it says.
for years, and I can't make sense of this. I don't know that it's a spreadsheet, but I've never heard fair cost and full cost. And then on line 2, for instance, one of the weddings, which was from May 18th, I see profit per meal, $29.21 profit per meal.
No way,
No way.
no way.
Why not? Let's go to Fiji.
And yet, down below on line 2, it shows the food was charged was $28.42. And I can charge $28.42 and make $29.21 on a meal. I mean, I'm really confused, and I know a lot of people, if this was sent out every month, we would all control the track, but it's just too confusing. I never seen so many, why so much talk about percentage of profits? Spreadsheets are really pretty simple to understand, but that one's, well, profitability, profits per meal on the line 2, $29.21. Line 2 here, they charge $28.42. Food charge and drinks charge. That's all.
That's all I have. I will follow up on this section, okay? Because I just can't.
No, I understand, but it's,
I'll
all
check
of this
it.
is pretty
I have an idea, I'll talk to Paul, Marcia, get the response, and I will send you an email.
But I had a friend of mine who's an accountant, pretty good accountant, and he's never seen.
So let me follow up on it, okay?
Get your spreadsheet.
Yeah, I don't recall, I don't recall seeing that in our
That's
financial
public knowledge, I
market.
get another, but.
So I'm not sure where you got it from. However, Bob, maybe you can address it. There was an audit done by the audit committee by a fellow by the name of Steve Griller. This might be from his package. This is not in our financial package. So, yeah, so I think where you got this from is not from our financial package. It's from a page from an audit that someone in the audit committee did.
What is this?
He's updating it.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It was, people, a lot of people have it.
So I would think if you have issues, you may have to take it up with the audit committee.
Well, I think you folks have the issues.
No,
Someone approve that analysis or.
No, we haven't received it yet. It's still in the hands of the audit committee. And I believe Marcia has got issues with it
They're the
as
last
well.
to know.
I mean, it's from May, so.
It is see what's anything on until it's on the audit committee, and as Kevin said, we haven't seen it yet. The P&L we get monthly from the food and beverage is much clearer than this, so I have no idea where it came from, and it's out here, audit committee September 2013, so we haven't received it yet, even review it, and ours is audited.
Wait a minute.
I think Steve's in the process now of updating it based
Yeah,
on feedback.
Marcia told me a lot of information that was incorrect, so. But again, if you want to get the details, whoever that resident was, I don't know your name, you'd have to go to the audit committee. They're the ones who put it together.
We work for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Shouldn't you be supplying that information? That's
It
why
is.
we're here asking.
No, we have information in our financial package that shows how much we're making on the food and beverage.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's
You're telling me
food
to go to somebody else to.
Because the audit committee has done a report which we haven't seen yet. And he's taking page out of that report which we haven't
Couple of
seen.
years. That's the real one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We'll let you know.
I'd like to ask you a question back to the page or around the wedding.
This is not the real world.
I'm not clear. I'm not clear what the 21% is about. And just to go backwards, when a wedding is booked, and the food and beverage determine they need X number of waitress staff, bar staff, and so forth, the wedding party pays for their labor. The wedding party pays for their labor and the 21% service charge. So the service charge.
So the food and beverage and building and lights and all that is covered, plus the 20%.
So the waitress basically, whatever the service charge is divided, 2.5% goes to the managers, and that's under their contract, which you supervise. And when they come up for reevaluation, I assume, or their contract comes up for a set redo, that's an item that you might want to take a look at. Is that correct?
I would take a look at it based on performance, of course.
Okay. So I'm just saying, I'm not sure how to change that. If it ever needs to be
I
changed.
don't know what it does.
I'm not saying it needs to be changed, just saying it comes under your purview under their contract. So if they get 2.5%, and you have 10 other people working that way, for an example, the balance of that money goes equally to those 10 people. Is that-
Yes.
It's shared equally.
Shared, I don't know the exact number sitting here, Randy, but it is shared across the board. I can't remember the exact number, how that 16% is put out, but I will find out.
I just think that there's some people confused about, is it shared appropriately and equally? It's come to my mind, it's been asked of me, and I just said, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that. But now that we brought this up, 21% is a lot of money, for a large way. And I have heard that the wait staff, it's like a policeman who gets extra duty doing parking down at the race gate. It's extra income for them. They come on board and they use this money for their annual income. And I just want to make certain that that it's equitably shared and so forth. That's all I ask. And if you could put that out in some way, I think some of the residents would like to know that the wait staff is being treated properly and equitably.
Well, we're in Pine Meadows, while we're on the subject of money, we have a contract for 2 F&B managers, and it comes to 5%, it's not 2.5%, it's 5% of the pay.
2.5% each.
Well, I'm still 5% on the salary, and I think that these needs to be modified, reviewed, or cut out. They're salaried employees doing their job. There should be nothing extra. And while we're on the subject of money, our must-have radar gunner, we spent $5,000 on it. I'd like to see a breakdown of how many tickets were issued, and whether it was to residents, non-residents, and how much revenue was collected.
I'd be happy to supply that. By the way, it is working very nicely. Somebody came in and just paid their fine the other day. We are seeing a result of people slowing down. The idea isn't so much to pay for the gun, is to keep safety out on the streets.
But we had a gun at work.
Yeah, but it didn't work very well. That was the problem. We didn't know it. So,
Perhaps it was the
so in
operator.
any case, it is working very nicely, and I think I signed 500 just this week. So that we are slowing down speeders. In addition to which, HPCA and another company called Service America received a letter from me just this week. So we are definitely following up with it.
Did they pay a fine?
Those two I can't find because it's a private street, but I do threaten their insurance, and I let their management know that if they continue to speed, I will not allow that person in the door anymore.
Let's pay him a company for the property.
Well,
Let's
that's what I
take
say.
positive action and do it now.
That's what I just said. I agree
Not
with
what
you.
you just said.
They're coming to fix somebody's head.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear.
You hear it? Now, Jamie? What, I eat this thing. Ron Moore, were you the first person that spoke? Who was the first person that spoke then? I just want to make a point. I'm not saying pro or con weddings. I just want to point out that if we eliminate weddings or those type of things, we also have to realize how much compensation, as Randy brought up, we're going to be taking from our employees who rely on that income. So whether we go for that or not, it also will have an effect on how we pay these employees to keep them up to a reasonable standard of living. I just want to bring that up.
Because greedy. They're supposed to split that sugar. Yep.
Away, they're not serving us in the dining room.
You're right.
So we're losing. In other words, I don't see the benefit that we're getting from them doing these weddings. So you tell me if they're getting extra staff and we still have the same staff that cover the dining room, or they're using the dining room staff for the wedding? People are losing.
They are using the staff that's on at all times. You have a point, but the point also is if these people have to take pay cuts, we may lose people and we're gonna have to hire people at lower rates. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. Let me try and make myself clear. We are gonna reduce the income of our employees if we have this, we move our weddings. Now, how that's gonna be adjusted will be up to how we manage our employees.
Well, they work in the dining room, they get tips too.
But is it
So that's what they're working for.
So the point is, they come here to work here for weddings because they can make good money.
This is from our community.
Not denying that. I'm saying to you that we might have.
Weddings are not for our community. I heard you.
We're supposed to have a restaurant, and I've never heard of a restaurant, and it isn't open every Saturday night. Now, I know there are banquet and catering halls that are open every Saturday night, but I never heard of a restaurant that isn't open every Saturday night. Now, if we go and we open up on Friday and Saturday nights, and the food is supposed to be as good as I heard that the finance committee is supposed to be able to compete with Chili's and Applebee's and Ruby Tuesday, well, those employees can definitely make up the money, without a doubt. It would be nothing better than for me, when I finish playing golf every Saturday, to come here and have dinner, but instead of going out. So, getting rid of the weddings won't be detrimental to the health. And I have another question. I understand the IRS is changing the situation where tips that are put on the bill are no longer considered gratuities, but are considered salary. And I've gone to a few restaurants now with large parties, and the tips are no longer put on the bill because it's an added expense to the restaurants. Now, we're going to have more payroll tax plus added to the FICA, putting the gratuities on the bill. So I just want to know how you're going to handle that.
I don't know about new IRS ruling, but we already put the gratuities on their taxes. And all gratuities that are charged to their
Does
account.
it go as income, or is it, or do they pay the, do we pay the payroll tax and the FICA on that?
And it goes as income.
Oh, so it's not a gratuity anymore?
Not the way, that's how they collect it. And this way they can get their social security benefits and not hiding their money. And it's